This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, it being 6:03, I call this meeting of the Chelmsford School Committee to order. This meeting is taking place using the GoToMeeting electronic platform. All participation is taking place remotely, not in person. The meeting is being televised and recorded by Chelmsford Telemedia for interested community members to access and watch. Meeting members were encouraged to submit comments and questions for the school committee members or superintendent of schools, Dr. Jay Lang, via email. These comments will be read under the public participation portion of the agenda. If anyone watching this meeting live has questions or comments to share, you're encouraged to email one of us during the meeting, and we'll read those during our second public input session at the end of the meeting. So welcome to this meeting of the Chelmsford School Committee. This is a single item meeting to discuss whether or not we want to cancel April vacation next week, maintain the momentum of the online academic programs that have recently begun. So to start with, we're going to do a quick roll call of attendance. So Donna Newcomb.
Here.
Jeff Doherty.
Here.
John Moses.
Here.
Maria Santos.
Here.
Dennis King is here. Dr. Jay Lang.
Here.
Dr. Linda Hirsch.
Here.
And Joanna Collins.
Here.
Great. Okay. So to start with, we're at our first public input part of our meeting. Does anybody have any emails that they would like to read?
Regarding this particular issue, any emails?
And any emails, fine.
Okay, so regarding this particular issue that we're dealing with tonight, I received a comment from a parent asking us to consider that some high school students have signed up for a whole week of driver's education courses that are now moved online that are substantial cost that they need to do. And if there can be some accommodation if the decision is made in a particular way tonight. And then the second, we've received other emails. I'll leave it till the last comments.
Okay. Anybody else have anything?
Those were similar to what I received.
Okay. Anybody else? I similarly got a few emails about tonight's subject. One person, parent, Heidi Lazar, wrote to express her opinion April vacation should not be canceled, particularly if we don't know if we'll be able to go back to face-to-face learning. She feels that if the opportunity still exists, we'd be better off having another week of face-to-face class at the end of the year versus an additional online week in April. I also received an email from Anna Barker, just voicing some concerns that if we were to go back to school before the end of the year, what the procedure would be for students that maybe have some health issues if their parents didn't feel that comfortable sending them back. So that's probably something we'll take up at a future meeting, I would think. All right, any other emails or comments that people got?
I received the same ones as you, Dennis.
What's that?
I received the same ones you did.
Okay. So I guess we're on to the new business, so I'll turn it over to Superintendent Lang.
Thank you. Yes, we just have the one matter before us this evening. Then I did send a memo out to you this afternoon, and then also I posted it up to the online in case the public wanted to take a look at the memo. But after our school committee meeting last Tuesday, we met last Tuesday night, the question had come up about April school vacation and what the feeling was. Should we continue to go through our new extended learning? Should we take a break? And I had mentioned at the time that there were kind of two schools of thoughts on it, but we actually had some time to be able to survey our parents to try to get some feedback about the vacation week. Prior to our meeting last Tuesday, the teachers union representatives had reached out to me to let me know that they had done a poll of their membership, and approximately 85% of their members felt that they had just kind of started with the online learning, wanted to keep momentum with that, and they were in favor of doing that. And I was surprised originally when the numbers started to come out from the parents, and it almost mirrored the staff feedback. So I had basically provided the two rationales, the rationale that we heard the most from the people who wanted to keep the April school vacation week, and then the rationale for those who wanted to cancel and keep some of the momentum going. And I think the one area that affects, both that we just don't know at this point is, will we go back to school or not in June? I think if we knew for certain we were going back to school in June, it would lend more credence to the argument about, 4 days of actual face-to-face instruction, maybe more valuable than 4 days of online instruction. But where that is an unknown at this point, and I personally think it's less and less likely we'll be back in that scenario. I think it does make some sense to keep the momentum moving. And based on the survey results that I sent out to you this afternoon, the significant majority of parents felt the same way. So we actually received just over 2,600 responses, which is actually very good feedback for a poll like this. And of those 2,600 responses, approximately 85%, 2,028 responded that they desired to cancel the school vacation week and continue to work through this new remote learning next week. And counter to that was 403 respondents, or about 15%, that indicated they would prefer to take the break and then keep the 4 days remaining at the end of the school year. So as of right now, technically the 185th school day would be Monday the 22nd. And under either scenario I outlined for you, we have to take Monday off because it's a legal holiday. So there would be no school on Monday either way. The only distinction being if we take the 4 days, the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of the April school vacation week, and apply and continue with the extended learning now, we then can subtract 4 days in June. So instead of getting out Monday the 22nd, the last day for students would be Tuesday the 16th. And again, that's what the vast majority of respondents indicated their preference would be. It aligns with the staff respondents as well. And I think at this point, given those both data points, it really does make sense to cancel the April school vacation week and continue with the learning that we have in place. Again, not knowing if we will be back in school, I agree that that's still an outstanding question. But it really does seem to be significant numbers that would appreciate us continuing what was happening. Obviously, of the 15% of both staff and students, some may have said no, they wanted to take the break for, to relax and rejuvenate, like I mentioned. Others may have commitments during that week, I think, staff and student-wise. So people are going to have to adjust their schedules a little bit accordingly. What we have been telling staff right along the ways is to try to be as accommodating as you can be and flexible as you can be with students when it comes to kind of filling out and completing assignments and turning things in. So in our messaging, we would also just, to Maria's question earlier, we would impress upon staff to try to be as flexible as possible with students when it comes to completing their assignments for the week, knowing that there might be some schedule changes because obviously some people had planned for this to be off. Now we're going to be switching it to being on. And we would just ask for some leeway on that front. But that does seem to be where the numbers lie. So I was at least happy to see that it was very significant. It wasn't like a 50-50 type thing.
All right, anybody have any thoughts on this?
I agree that it's looking less and less likely that we're going to be returning this year. If I thought that there was a chance, then I think I would advocate for that 4 days of face-to-face instruction. But I'm concerned that we're not going to see that. So I think that kind of changes things in terms of how we view April vacation.
Anybody else? Any other thoughts?
I agree with that. I think that it's less and less likely that we're going to return. I do think the same thing, that face-to-face makes a huge difference. And the accommodation for 4 days of work at a high school level is not a small amount. So I don't know how that would be accommodated, but those were the comments that I received the most on. And they'll probably impact a few students. Oops. Jay, you're muted.
Go ahead.
It's okay.
Anything else, Maria?
No, that was it for now. I'm leaning more towards going with the majority on this because it is the majority and that should speak. And I think more and more that we're not going to be returning, and those 4 days at the end will be something very nice for families, because we very likely will not be returning. It doesn't look that way. No matter how much people want to reopen things, the safety part of it is just too much out there. So given that, I'm more towards going with what the majority wants to do.
And I just want to say, from a continuity perspective, we just started teaching, started to get into the teaching portion of it last week. So I think for both the teachers and the students, it'd be nice to keep going and not start and stop and start and stop again. So I think it's going to benefit both the teachers and the students to be able to have that continuity. So anything else, John, Jeff, any thoughts? Okay. All right. Jay?
Dennis, I'm sorry, I had a bad connection here for a minute.
Yeah.
When Maria had started to talk, so I don't know if she asked me a question and I didn't answer it. I got cut out here for a second at home.
Okay, my only thought was on the accommodation. I think it probably impacts a few students, not just this one family that reached out and wrote about it. And having had students who are exactly in that age group and did it in the February vacation, it's really a commitment. It takes the whole week, and they have to do it.
Right.
So, so I'm just, and it's a substantial amount of money. So I am just wondering, what, I'm sure you'll reach out to teachers and you let them know when it's in this particular age group. What should those students do? They should reach out to their teachers. They should talk with them and let them know that this was discussed and an accommodation is requested.
Yeah, I mean, right along the lines, and I apologize for cutting out earlier. Right along the lines, if students are having difficulty, particularly at the middle and the high school level, because they're a little bit more forward with their communication with their teachers, they definitely should be communicating to them if they're having any issues with assignments or scheduling, because again, you've got a lot of different teachers trying to coordinate efforts. So keep those lines of communication open always. But in this particular scenario, I'd mentioned, there is still 15% of the staff and students who expressed that they wanted to keep the week. Some of that probably is for scheduling issues, whether they had, medical appointments or, driver's ed or different things like that. So I would just, if the school committee passes this, recommend that they actively engage their teachers, let them know if they have conflicts, and try to work through a plan with the teachers so that they can still see the assignments, complete the assignments, have some flexibility in turning them in. I will certainly message that to the staff, and we'll ask the principals to do the same. But I think it goes without saying, even just for those 4 days, that we've been trying to do that with the rollout of this remote learning right from the get-go. And even beyond next week, the 4 days of the learning over the vacation week, if people are struggling or if they need extra time for an assignment or something like that, you've got to be proactive and reach out to your teacher and have those discussions. So I would just keep encouraging that, keep the communication channels open. It would really be no different than if someone got the flu or a real bad cold and they had to miss a couple of days of school. They've got to play some catch up. So, that's what we'll express, but a lot of it really is going to be impending upon the people to have those conversations and let each other know, what's going on in their lives, and that they might need a little bit of flexibility on some assignments or some timelines around turning work in.
Okay, anybody have anything else before we vote?
Dennis, I'd just like to say thank you to the parents and the teachers for taking the time to fill out the survey. I think that it was an excellent response.
Yep.
Right, it's greatly appreciated. I think it certainly helps to be able to guide our decisions.
Yep, definitely makes the decision a little bit easier to make. Okay, if there's no more comments, I'll entertain a motion.
Let me look at the language, sorry. Ugh. I make a motion to cancel April school vacation week and remove those days from the end of the schedule.
That a good motion, Jay? Is that what you need?
Yeah, at the very bottom of page, I think it was 3 at the memo, it was just a recommendation for the school committee to officially cancel and work through the scheduled April school vacation therefore putting the last scheduled day for students to be Tuesday, June 16th, 2020. I
Okay,
think that could be the motion. And then I think that's exactly what you were trying to say, John. If that could be the motion. What I'll do is I'll communicate that to parents after you guys vote on it.
all right. I make a motion that the school committee vote officially cancel and work through the scheduled April school vacation. Therefore, the last scheduled day of school for students will be Tuesday, June 16th. That's it, right? Do you want the whole paragraph?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, got it.
Nope, that's good.
Second.
Second, all right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, we'll take a vote. Jeff Doherty,
Aye.
Don Newcomb,
Aye.
Maria Santos, John Moses,
Aye.
Dennis King, aye. So 5-0, motion passes. Okay, all right. So any other item before we leave the meeting?
Do you
have anything?
want other comments we've been receiving, or I think it should, they're gonna be pertinent to other items that are coming up on the agenda for the next meeting, very
Yeah.
likely, which is 1
Okay.
week from now.
Yeah.
So I think I'm just going to leave it till that time.
Okay, okay.
But I would say that at the next meeting, hopefully, we're gonna be taking up some of these things about what happens. One, if we do return, two, if we don't.
Okay.
How are we gonna deal with some of the things that are very important to transition the year and so on?
I guess that was my point. You know, we do have a meeting again a week from tomorrow. So if anybody has any items they want on the agenda, just email me and we'll try to get them on for next week. I know there's already a lot of stuff in the pipeline for next meeting, but you know, just probably by like Wednesday so we can get the meeting posted and everything else up in time. Jay, do we know when there's that tri-board meeting might happen? Have they mentioned that?
I don't. I did talk to Paul about last week, and that was something that he was actually kind of pushing for.
Okay,
I think we're all trying to get just a better sense of what is going to happen with local government statewide. You know, is the governor going to end up extending the closure through the end of May? Is he going to extend it right through the end of the school year? Because a lot of that will have implications on whether we can plan to have town meeting or not at the end of June, which again has implications on our capital budget and local operating budget and whatnot. So personally, I'm hoping this week to get some kind of direction or at least a hint about what's going to happen. So this might be about I'll be more informed next Tuesday night when we meet to talk about it a little bit, because to some of Maria's issues, you know, whether we go back to school or we don't, you know, has a big bearing on the matters. So I think if we can push for that and kind of hear from the governor, I think that's going to be helpful.
okay. All right. And one thing just to maybe throw out there for our next meeting and I think I mentioned this to Superintendent Lang and Joanna, perhaps changing our warrant signing policy. Right now, we have 3 people go in. We can, according to MASC, go with a signal signer for the warrant. So something to consider, maybe at least just for the time being, just so not as many people have to go into the office and sign the sheet. So that just to throw that out there to kind of look at that. I know MASC put something out in the last newsletter about that. And then if it's okay with the committee, I would like to put together some sort of letter just thanking the teachers for all the work they put in, you know, up to now and continuing from here. So if everybody's okay with that, I'll help Donna actually take all my run-on sentences and cut them down to actual sentences. And we'll try to get something to the superintendent during the week and send it out to teachers. Everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Good idea.
Okay. All right. Anybody else have any public comment that they want to bring up at this point? Okay. All right.
I
If
didn't
not,
see anything specific to this.
all right. If not, then I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second. Okay. Maria?
You want me to second? Sure.
No, I said just to vote.
Did Donna second?
Yes, you
Yeah.
did. Yes.
Okay. I vote yes.
Okay. Donna,
Yes.
John,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
myself, aye. 5-0. Okay. All right. Our meeting is over. Thank you all very much.
Have a good
Thank you.
night.
This was one of
Here, everyone.
the best school committee meetings in history.
Definitely. All right. Have a good one.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you. I'll get that communication out briefly.
Okay. Great.
Thank you.
Yep.